Hi, good morning.
Ready? Rolling. Ah! Knocked loose, motherfucker! Update. I'm crying over the spider. Clearly, Oz is not the problem here. Did you see that one coming? 'Cause I didn't. Feels good.
I was born for this yesterday, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's very good. But I didn't update you last night because I spent 10 hours on Discord ever since it opened. So I went to bed last night and I basically just passed out. And I woke up this morning and I'm walking around my kitchen talking to myself about I was born for this and what I was gonna say about it. So I figured I might as well sit here and talk to you and ramble rather than try and walk around and figure it out. So forgive me while I indulge my ADHD. I really, really like it. I like the overall message of this book. I like the overall representations of fandom versus reality and how each side, as I predicted, it kind of comes to grips with the view that comes from the other side, which for the fans is all that glitters is not gold, and which for the band is like, hey, they're not all so bad. There's bad apples and there's good apples. I would say the overall message and theme of this book, it's really summed up with that one Noah Sebastian quote. I think it's from Rock Sound or something. It's a really good interview. I'll link it. Or I'll at least tell you where it is. Please ignore my coffee machine. But it's a quote from that Noah Sebastian interview where they're talking about bad omens, and I think it ends the article, but he says, don't make bad omens your life. And that's... Hello? I don't know if you could see that piece of fuzz that was drifting right here, but rude. Everything's trying to interrupt me whenever I start talking about Noah Sebastian or bad omens. It says, don't make bad omens your life. And that is essentially the message of this book. I don't know how I quite feel about the further message that this book really, really tries to hammer home within the last 100 pages. But the message is that people often throw themselves so viscerally and so hardcore into fandom because they cannot or will not throw themselves that much into their own lives. I will say it gives credence to be like, some people can't because they have other people controlling their lives or extenuating circumstances, so fandom is kind of an escape for them where they can throw themselves fully into it instead of facing their own problems. But a lot of times it is them not willingly facing their own issues or not knowing how to and just running and finding themselves, finding a new identity in fandom and bandom instead of turning around and facing like their real life and dealing with that. They throw so much love into this band or into whatever it is, and yet they don't do that for themselves. And I was like, okay, you got points. You got merit. I don't think you're entirely wrong. I think there's a lot of things that are correct in that sentiment. I think there's a lot of good feelings there. I don't know if I would agree with the way that it was approached or the way that the sentiment was expressed, but overall the themes, they're just relevant, I think, to fandom in general. I would say that's not the case for everyone who throws themselves into fandom. I think that's way too broad of a brush to paint people with. Some people just throw themselves into fandom simply because they want to and they love it. Like, no one's life is perfect, but maybe they just have the extra money to delve in on this hobby. Maybe this is their special interest, you know? So, but I will say I don't think Alice Oseman is trying to paint everybody with a broad brush. This is just me rambling about the sentiment in general. I feel like it was trying to be as accepting as it could, and it was very accepting, except on the band members' point of view, but even then, they started kind of coming around, which is to be expected. If it was just like a 180 flop in that past 100 pages, I'd be like, no, it's unbelievable, I think. Like, it's just like, So I liked it. I liked the turnaround. I like the sharing, the caring. I loved all the emotional roller coasters that it took me on because my boy Lister, I liked him from the beginning. As we all know, I have a fondness for drummers and just himbos. Also, I definitely called some things that were going to happen in this book. I called it at the very beginning. I will not tell you which for spoilers, but I actually, yeah, I called like 80% of what was going to happen in this book, but that did not stop me from enjoying it because the way that it was executed was well done. It was fun.
He's back.
Where are you coming from? I know you just saw that because I just saw it. Drink time. I thought it was well executed. I thought the diverse cast was well represented. I really liked every single character. I'm really interested in every single character. I would love if there's like a spin-off of this series or like novellas or short stories even more to like dive into the dynamics and what happens in the after or even the before. I'm very much into characters and character dynamics. It's my favorite thing in writing. So, I started with a goal last night of, let's just get 50 pages done. I have like 100 and something pages to go. Let's just get 50 done. It's very easily readable. Let's just do 50. And at the end of that 50 pages, stuff started going down. And I was like, okay, no, I'm just gonna sit here and finish it. And I looked at how long it had taken me to finish 50 pages. No time at all. And because I was worried that like it might go too late and then be too late when I fix dinner and stuff. It flew by. Flew by. If you want a fun, easy on the brain, maybe not so easy on the heart at times kind of read, and you want to like look into fandom and like, I think fair representation of fandom, generally speaking, and someone who clearly respects at least the culture of fandom and respects fandoms in general and is a part of fandoms and understands all the complicated dynamics and some of the politics that goes into it, I'd recommend it. That took too long. I'm gonna make breakfast. I'm having a bagel. And I'm having coffee.
This is the Sunshine Blind update. It's going to be a quick update, so bear with me. I have been sitting here reading, working on the short stories, the complete short stories of Ernest Hemingway. This is a book that I've had for actually not that long, and I started working on it. I was reading a story a day and making really good progress in it. I'm like 200 and... yeah, you can kind of see the bookmark. There you go. That's where I am. About 200 pages through, like 1/3 of the way through. Hemingway is one of my favorite writers, and I'm really enjoying it. I come to you with this update because I was just sitting here reading this book, not for the readathon particularly. I was reading it for a chaotic academia vlog that I'm currently doing, and just because I want to get back into reading it so I can finish this. But as I was reading, I read like 4 of the stories because they were really short, only a couple pages long. 2 of them fit the prompts, so... duh, I'm gonna count them. A Simple Inquiry counts for set in winter, because it takes place at a cabin in late March, but I'm counting it because it talks about them being snowed in, and the snow reflecting the sun and the heat, and how they're all getting snowburned from sitting inside with the reflection from the sun on the snow and stuff like that, so I'm counting it. Then the other one I am counting for the has a mission quest. I almost said quest. Heist or scheme, which I originally didn't think I was going to be able to fill that prompt. Surprise. I'm counting the short story 50 grand for that. It's about a guy who is a boxer named Jack who is training for this upcoming fight, and it's kind of told through the eyes of his trainers, his team, dealing with him, and come to find out, Jack is drinking one night, and one of his teammates, one of his trainers, is talking to him and finds out that Jack has put a bet on the fight of 50 grand against himself. He's put 50,000 on the other fighter. Because he's like, look, man, there's no way I'm gonna win, so I might as well make money off of it. And at the end, he's like, yeah, you think really quick whenever there's that much money on the line. So I'm counting that as a quest to lose as spectacularly as possible and get 50k grand. He was getting that bag. 2 more prompts. Surprisingly done. I forgot to say whether I liked them or not. Oh, and A Simple Inquiry was about, it seemed like Italian soldiers. It was about soldiers snowed in a cabin together, and then one who's like the leader of them calls one into his room, and he's asking him questions like, are you in love with a girl? You ever been in love with a girl? That's pretty much it. I mean, it's a 2.5 page story. That's pretty much it. The descriptions and the writing style, like anything Hemingway does in my opinion though, are beautiful and so intricate. Just the little details of life that really make it what it is. I really enjoy both these stories. I liked 50 grand more. Probably because there was just more to like. I didn't really get to feel enveloped in A Simple Inquiry, but 50 Grand was really good. I was in it the whole time. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna change his mind at the last minute and just like his pride's gonna take over and he's gonna try and win the fight. I was curious how it was gonna turn out, how it was going to turn out. I really enjoyed it. It was a good time. Might read a couple more, but I'll probably get started on another book for this readathon. Have I hit a bingo yet? Editing, Chey, if I have, put up the bingo board. Let's see where we're at, because I don't know off the top of my head. I'm cozy in my bed watching my favorite 90s sitcom, but I realized that I do have a bingo. I want to try and do as much as I can, not just get a bingo, so I'm going to be reading Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. Why did I go slightly British there? I don't know. I originally, I think, was going to count this as Heart Grew 3 Sizes, but I'm counting I Was Born for this, for that. I think. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. We're just going for it. We're just going for it. Coffee in this heat? Coffee in this economy? I really like this protagonist. They seem really, really sweet, really funny. Okay, we're done. I finished this all in one sitting, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts right now before I forget to. Really, really sweet, really cute. Honestly, 5 out of 5 stars. I think that every kid should read this book. I think adults should read this book. Just really beautifully written, really wonderful, so inclusive and so gentle, and yet also just very, very honest, I believe. I think this would be a great book to introduce kids to the normality of a lot of different situations. I think this book does a great job at normalizing a lot of what is often stigmatized in our society with people's different ability levels, struggles that people have. And I think this book is a great way to get in the process of destigmatizing a lot of that, especially kids who will encounter other kids like this, who will encounter adults that deal with the same things that people in this book deal with: Tourette's, not having arms, you know, the usual. And it does it all with a lovely sense of humor that is making fun with, not making fun of, as this book says. It was just really wholesome, really wonderful, just a beautiful little time. If I haven't talked about what this is about, this follows a main character named Avon Green. I believe she's 13. Yes, she was born without arms. And it basically just follows her new life as she moves with her parents to Arizona as they go to manage a Western theme park. And she finds out a little mystery. She starts to uncover a little mystery as she explores the park. And we just follow along with her making friends in her daily life and trying to uncover this mystery. Her best friend is a guy with Tourette's, and so there's a lot of discussion surrounding that, and they're really funny together. I love their banter back and forth about the Tourette's, about not having arms. Again, it's done in such a way that it's making fun with, not of. Also, their friend Zion, love Zion. I love the non-stigmatization of Zion and body types and eating habits, and just overall the discussion of health in general. The parents are great in this book. They are so supportive, and I think great role models for any kid or adult or just person to read about. The way that they handle things and how they handle discussions with Avon when harder topics come up, whenever she feels like a freak or she has a little breakdown and talks about she wants to be normal. I think the way that they handle these things are beautiful and supportive, and exactly, I think, what is needed. I think everyone could learn something from this book, and I believe everyone's heart will grow 3 sizes from this book, but this one's gonna count for my free space. I love this. I kind of really want to keep this book because it's a 5-star for me, but I also really want to put it back out into the world so it can, educate more people and help more hearts grow 3 sizes. It would be really good for kids to read this book as it's marketed towards, and I think I might reach out to a couple of teacher friends or my local school library and see if they would like to put this in their classrooms. Little Grinchathon update. Wow, what happened to my hair? I don't want to talk about it. Little Grinchathon update. I did start a book for A Friend Hated But You Might Love, and that was the one prompt that I didn't think I was gonna get to because I don't have a lot of friends that consistently read, or at least not a lot of friends that read a lot enough to like find books that they hate, because they usually pick out books that they are pretty sure they're gonna like. But for this challenge, I kind of went with some people in the Discord in the lair, and I chose The Naturals from Jennifer Lynn Barnes. The reason I chose this was because I've seen it talked about in the lair Discord, but also because it's on Spotify. I have Spotify Premium because of course I do. I'm a little bit obnoxious. And it's free on Spotify, and it's only 7 hours, which is easily doable for someone like me that has to listen to things 3 times X speed, or else my head might explode. Baby Joker. Sorry, I have true crime on the TV right now, and I started The Naturals, and I am 14 chapters in as of speaking to you right now. It's flying by pretty quick, and I will say overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm not loving it. I knew there was a chance I might because of the concept itself, but I'm not loving it so far. I'm liking it. It's fine. So far, it's feeling like a 3.5. It's not really offending me in any way. It's not really bothering me or super annoying to me. It's definitely a book that I think I would have enjoyed when I was a lot younger, and I feel like I heard someone say this, and I can't remember who said it. It might have been Jan, it might have been Olivia Read the Latte, I don't know, but whoever said it was absolutely correct. This feels like baby's first thriller. It feels like baby's first crime thriller, crime drama, the murder mystery kind of thing. And the concept in it is, and of itself, interesting. I don't know about having teenagers in it, but the concept of, getting a band of people who are uber naturally talented at these kind of behavioral and practical and pattern-wise gifts to decode crimes and stuff like that. That's cool. That's great. But I don't know. I just feel like this is a little too juvenile. I don't know how I really feel about this book yet. I feel like I can't predict what's gonna happen, but not entirely so. I'm having a fine time. I was gonna say I'm having fun. I'm like, I think that's too strong of a word. But I'm having a fine time. I'm not hating it. I'm not adoring it. I definitely think that this would be a great, probably, or a really fun read for, like, younger readers, maybe even, like, high school. Middle school, probably, but high school, too. And I see why people like it now. It's just that, personally, me, as I've grown up, and the stuff that I have read and how my reading tastes have changed, this is not for me. That's not me saying that if you enjoy this, you must be a little kid with little baby, small, smooth brain. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for me, personally. No offense if you like this book now. Okay, Chey, enough disclaimers out of the way. I want to talk about what I think the ending of this book is going to be, or I guess it's a series, what I think the plot points in this are going to be. And I can't say that these are spoilers because I don't know that they're true. I'm just making some predictions. So Dean is obviously typecast in my head as Dean Winchester, which, first of all, I do not like. I don't want to picture Dean Winchester in this book. That is a sacred concept to me. But I can't stop. Sorry, Jensen. But before I get into that, let me give you a little recap about what The Naturals is about, in case you have no idea. I don't know why I didn't start off with this. I'm sorry. Very professional, can't you tell? The Naturals follows this girl named Cassie, who is a behavioral analyst. Not as a career choice, just literally as a lifestyle. She looks at people, makes deductions, makes decisions. She's basically young Sherlock. She makes decisions about their behavior, their background, their orientation, their history, their mannerisms, and she learned this from her mother, who is apparently one of the best in the business, and she has trauma because her mother was brutally killed, and she was a witness to the crime scene after the fact, so she is rightfully traumatized. But she is so crazy good at being a behavioral analyst that one day she's at work, and she gets approached by a guy who gives her a business card, and of course it's a teenager who works for the FBI, because, duh. So she gets recruited into this FBI program that has a bunch of kids like her who they call the Naturals. They're all kids who have naturally unnatural abilities in being able to do things. So she and Dean are the two only behavioral analyst kind of people. There's one person who's extremely good at recognizing patterns. ADHD, can you say hello? Then there's another person who is extremely adept at lying and picking out who's lying and why, possibly. So the FBI has all these kids together in a house, and it's a training facility basically where they're training them to work for the FBI, to be profilers, to help them with unsolved cases. And that is where we're at. And also, her mother's killer was never found. What I think happened, because she meets Dean, he's immediately standoffish, and people are like awkward about them meeting. And then there's one point where they're in the kitchen, and one girl is looking in the refrigerator, and Dean makes a comment about like Cassie's mom, the main girl, and Leah, I think her name is, who's leaning in the refrigerator, like stops moving. And I'm like, okay, so these people clearly know something that they're not telling Cassie yet. And that comment about Dean's gonna kill somebody one day, and then he's talking to Cassie, and he has a giant scar across his palm from the thumb to the outside of the wrist, and I'm like, I have watched a lot of true crime shows in my life. That's a knife, buddy. That is from a knife. That's from a knife. You're giving me too many hints, too many little clues. What I think happened, well, I have several theories, so I'll just tell you one of them. I'll tell you the main one that I have. And it's not very developed, but here we go. I think... Oh, and also we have this voice that's like speaking in third person. So what I think happened is that Dean's dad killed Cassie's mom. That's what I think. Because there was a hint at the subconscious voice talking about a trail of women. A trail of women, like keepsakes, like a serial person. And Dean has talked about like he's hinted at his traumatic childhood, like his past and stuff like that. And he also knew that the place that he showed Cassie was based off of a real thing that happened. So I think Dean's dad ganked Cassie's mom and then ganked Dean's mom and then tried to gank Dean, and Dean fought him off with the knife and took him out in self-defense, or maybe he was never caught. Or Dean tried to, like, save his mom, tried to help his mom, and that's where he got the scar on his hand. What happened to the dad? I don't know. Maybe Dean took him out, maybe he got away, but I think Dean's dad took out Cassie's mom, and either took out or tried to take out Dean's mom for, like I said, resenting maybe being a freak, being a natural like her and Dean are, and, you know, that kind of tale as old as time. Perhaps he got away because maybe that's how Dean was brought into the program, was he tried to help profile and track down his own father, and that's how he learned about Cassie's mom, and that's why they have the connection. Like, that's the connection there. Because at first I was like, are they siblings? And it's like, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Though it would be really hilarious considering the romantic implications that have been put in the book so far. That would be a real Luke Skywalker moment. That would be so funny. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that they're related. I think it has to do with his dad going, you know? That's what I think. And she doesn't know, and they're not telling her. And it's also possible because her mother's body was never found. That's the key thing. I don't know. I'm probably going to be proven wrong on all accounts. I have a few other different theories, but I just wanted to give you my initial thoughts to begin with. I'm going to get back to listening to it. Update on the bat hats. This is where we're at. I haven't put the, if you want to call it fur, like the pom-pom and the fur lining on it to make it a Santa hat yet, because I wanted to see if it would still even fit over their heads. And it does, but I can't stop looking at this. Why does this bat look like the lead vocalist of a pop-punk band? Why does he look like the lead vocalist, lead frontman of a pop-punk band? I feel like he's about to start, like, singing Bearings at me or something. I have them all cut out, though. I just now need to clip along the bottom to make them two separate pieces, and I'm going to staple them together rather than glue. I know that's going to be a tedious process, but the glue spreads, and then it, like, they're cut to precise length to where they will just go over the head, so I have to kind of rip it. So I'm just going to staple them. I'm going to make my life easy. Let's get to it. Checking in because I just finished lunch and finished the naturals. I ended up giving it a 3.5. It's fine. As I said in the Lair Discord, it's fine, but nothing to write home about. I was a little bit wrong on my prediction, but I won't get into it because that would be a spoiler and I don't want to do that. But for the most part, so my prediction evolved, and it's not what it was as I last updated you. It definitely evolved from there, so there's no harm in me telling you that a lot of my prediction was right, but also some of it was wrong, because I'm not going to tell you what my prediction ended up being. It was fine, though. It's just that it really was a little bit too young for me, I think, but if I had read it when I was younger, I think I would have been a lot more into it. But it's fine. It's a fun read. It's a relatively short audiobook, because I think it's only like 7 hours or something like that. Maybe it's 9. It was short. It's relatively short. So if you're just looking for a decently fun little mystery, kind of found family, but not too heavy on the found family aspect, I'd recommend it, because the concept is extremely good in and of itself. And if you like that concept and you like anime, boy, do I have the anime recommendation for you. One of my favorite series in anime that I'm actually rewatching is ID Invaded. ID Invaded is essentially this concept. It's a bunch of people coming together in this law enforcement space to try and get inside the minds of the criminals. Except for in ID Invaded, they're not profilers. They're all experts, but they have the use of this technology called the Mitsuhaname, I think it's called. But at the scene of a crime, it can pick up particles from the killer. And using those particles, it can recreate the subconsciousness mind space of the criminal. And they send in a brilliant detective to dive into the Idwell, which is what they call it. And through that space, the detective has to go and find clues about this criminal to try and find out who they are, to work through their subconscious mind and rework the crime and all of that. It's really, really cool. I love the concept. So I think if you're into this book, I think try checking out the anime. Check out my boy Narisago. It's a good show. It's a good show. It's a fun show. Just like this was a relatively fun book. Also, I feel pretty sick. I can't stop coughing and my throat is kind of sore even though it's sunny and I want to go outside. I know it's probably not good for my health. So I'm just going to stay inside and read and clean and listen to albums and work on videos. But I want to go outside in the sun so bad. I guess I won't. Update on the bats. I finished the bat hats. I did not film any part of me gluing the faux fur. It's crumpled up notebook paper. I took notebook paper, tore it. Well, it's copy paper. I took copy paper, tore it up, crunched it up, and then measured it and made the little pom-poms and then made like little fur linings. I didn't film me doing that because I was listening to the audiobook on my phone, so I couldn't film the same time I was listening to the audiobook because, God, I just wanted to finish this audiobook. But I finished the hats, and now I'm putting them on the bats. I haven't finished yet because I will need to climb on top of my record player or get the step stool. That would probably be the safer option, Chey. Let's get the step stool like a normal human being. I will film me putting it on the bats, and I will show you the final product. I think they're really cute. It didn't turn out perfect, but the farther back you stand, the better they look. I think they're cute. I think it's fun. So, let's get to showing you that. This is currently the status of the bats. Look at them. Look at them. Ain't they sweet? I think they're really cute. They fit on their little ears just so. And the further back that you stand, the better off it looks. But I think they're really sweet. I think they're really cute. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm curious to how the others are going to turn out and how I'm going to put them on there. We'll make it work. How many times have I said I was gonna be someone? Mother trucker, dude. That hurt like a butt cheek on a stick. Children, don't do what I'm doing, which is leaning on the arm of the couch. Don't do this at home. I'm incredibly stupid. 1 foot on the record cabinet, 1 foot on the couch. At least if I get injured, it's on camera. Why can't you work? Why won't you work for me? That one's gonna sit there for now. I got it on one ear. I count that as a win. I am full on breaking out a sweat. No, the staple came out. No! Improvise, adapt, overcome. I lost the backing to one of the hats. So this is what I'm gonna do. Improvise, adapt, overcome. One staple, Chey, I hear you saying? Yeah, what about it? You're never gonna see it. See, can you tell the difference? No, you can't. You look fabulous, Terrence. That's what I'm calling it. Tomorrow I'm gonna make changes, cause today I can barely speak. I know how to pull myself out, and it's gonna hurt like heck to set myself free. The Surface Blackbird Sessions. Holding about as well together as my will to continue doing this. There we go. Bats in hats! Hello, I'm just coming in from feeding the crows, and I'm gonna be flat out honest with you, my friends. I'm sick. And not in like the, she's so sick kind of way, like I am sick. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think it's the weather going from 30 to 40 to 60, and then back down to 40 degrees. Just a wild guess. Either way. And my carpet just tried to kill me. Get back down there. On the floor, beneath my feet, where you belong. Some of you took some enjoyment out of that statement. I won't call you out, though. Being that as it is, wow, that lighting is the second coming of Jesus. Hold on. There we go. Ow. Hit by my iPad. You can tell I'm out of breath because I can't get my breath. Being that as it is, I'm gonna review the last 2 books that I read because apparently I didn't vlog Volume 4 of Die Dark like I thought I did. I swore I did, and I swore I vlogged my thoughts on it, but I guess I didn't, so we're gonna do that now. And I'm gonna try to keep it short-winded. Like me. So I've read a couple of things since we last spoke. Ignore this pile of laundry. Hold on. So what I have read since we've last spoken are Die Dark, Volume 4, and Given, Volume 2. I know I'm reading a lot of manga. They're books. They count. Given Volume 2, I am counting for a story with a grumpy character because their drummer, grumpy boy. The frontman, or the lead guitarist, Yui, that's what I'm calling him because I always forget how to pronounce his name even though I've looked it up a million times. He's a little bit of a grumpy boy, so I'm counting this for grumpy characters. Die Dark Volume 4. I'm counting this off of my wish list. This is my wish list prompt because I did put this on my wish list earlier in the year, and even though it was gifted to me, it was from my wish list, so I'm counting this. I read this one first, so let's go over this one. God, I'm so out of breath. I rated this a... See, I swear I talked about this, so I'm gonna make this short either way because I swear that I did. Die Dark Volume 4. I really like this one. I didn't like it as much as previous Die Dark volumes, even though it's still very good. It was very good for different reasons. I'm counting this more of a 4.5 rather than 5 stars like the previous volume, but it's not a bad thing, and there's a reason that it only went down half a star. It's because this one felt more like setup and kind of filler rather than the other 3 volumes. So we're clearly very early on into the series. This is only Volume 4, right? So we're still getting introduced to the world, still having the world set up for us. However, this one felt like a little bit more filler than the previous ones. But in the same breath as saying that, it did a lot of backstory and a lot of setup for what I feel like is going to be the current big bad of this series. So that is why it still gets high marks, because it was trying to balance the filler between like, hey, here's the setup, here's the backstory, here's the introduction of the big bad, or at least like a little bit taste of him. And you gotta have some of that before you can delve right into the action, because if it's just action, 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 and you never get any of that release or tension to build up so that then you can release it, it's not as satisfying, I think. So I'm not faulting that against it, but it just is something to note. And I like filler. There were actually quite a few panels in here that, like the other ones, I'm like, will I get that tattooed? Maybe. This series takes place in kind of a dystopian outer space galaxy kind of place. There's this guy, our main character named Sanko, who has these magical bones where the currency of this world, or the currency of this universe, is bones. And Sanko has this spell, curse, whatever you may want to call it, on his bones where whoever gets his bones gets any wish that they could have ever wanted granted. He's got magic bones. Having the entire galaxy try to kill you all the time is kind of a drag when you're just 14 years old, but Sanko has mysterious power of darkness on his side, not to mention a talking spaceship and 3 horribly powerful space weirdos. If that's not enough to hook you in, I don't know what will. Maybe the art style, because look at that. Just look. This author's art style is just my favorite art style probably in any manga I've ever read, and I talk about that every single time I read one of their books for one of these videos. But if you're new here, or you're new to this series of this author, I can't recommend it enough. I can't brag on it enough. They also wrote Dorohedoro, which is my tied for the #1 spot. You can't see my mouth, I'm sorry. It probably made it very hard to tell what I was saying for my hard of hearing fam out there. This author also wrote the manga series Dorohedoro, which is my tied for first favorite manga series I've ever read next to Trigun. 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm excited to get to Volume 5, and I was holding out on reading Volume 5 because Volume 6 was just on pre-order, but I have a feeling that it's gonna come for Christmas, and so I gotta be prepared. I want to read Volume 5 and get ready to read Volume 6, hopefully on Christmas Day. Also, this is not like a tissue or a napkin or anything, this is the tag on this pillow, if you were wondering. Given Volume 2. Who's surprised that I read this? Not me. This is a very, very popular manga series and anime. I'm 99.9% sure it's an anime, but it's a very popular manga series. It kind of was one of the first popular manga series that I remember being brought up during the rebirth of the manga era, the trend of manga being cool again and anime being cool again, along with things like Yuri on Ice and other things like that. So this manga follows 4 boys in a band and their adventures, so to speak. It starts out when our guy here is at school one day and he sees this kid napping with a guitar, and he's like, because he's in a band and he also plays guitar, and so he's immediately interested, strikes up a friendship with him, gets him to join the band, and he's also kind of has a big crush on him, and this guy has the most beautiful voice that he's ever heard. And these two, the drummer and the bassist, have their own little backstory going on, and I ship them very hard. But that's a story for another day. I like this volume. I think I also rated it 4.5 out of 5 because the same reason with Die Dark. There was a lot of character growth, a lot of, not assumptions, a lot of confirmation in here about things that I can't give away because there'll be spoilers. And it was nice to see more of certain plot lines being fleshed out, but I feel like it's a little bit too early for some things that seem resolved or confirmed to be totally resolved, and so that makes me a little bit worrisome. Like, okay, well, if it's so good so early, we're only on Volume 2, there's like 11 volumes in the series, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna destroy the good, right? Or what's gonna try to destroy the good things that are happening? So this volume deals with a lot of the backstory, a lot of personal traumas and dramas, and coming to grips with feelings about certain people, certain things, and just getting prepared for their first live concert together, and getting the lyrics for the songs, and if he's gonna sing the songs. It's really good. There's 2 panels specifically that I can't show because they're spoilers that I love a lot, where I'm like, I want to redraw that in my own art style, or I would even get that as a temporary tattoo, because I love it so much. That's my problem with reading manga, is I am such a sucker for art. I love beautiful art, and everything I want to see that is beautiful art, I'm like, put that on my body forever. But I can't do that because I won't have room for all of it. Especially because I'm only 24. I'm gonna see a lot of beautiful art in my lifetime. I want to save space for art throughout the years. I'm trying to find a happy medium, like, maybe I can redraw it in my own style and have it framed in my house, or make like a little sketchbook, or like redrawing some of my favorite panels as like art practice, you know, for myself, and just to admire and relive my favorite panels and be able to flip through them. I don't know, I'm working on that. Kind of what anime journals are for, I know that, or manga journals, but I'm still battling with my printer to get ink for it, so... Plus, I could use the drawing practice. Anyway, those are the 2 books I've read since I've last talked to you. I think the last prompt that I have to do is the For Whom the Bell Tolls. Well, it's not the For Whom the Bell Tolls space. It is the book with who in the title. I don't think I've read one for that yet. Chey, if you're going through all this to read this, and you've already read it, I'm gonna hurt you. I'm only 7 pages into this, because I was busy reading those, and I've been reading like 10 other pages. Oh, I'm also still reading Hitchhiker's Guide. for book that was gifted to me. I am on page... What am I on? I'm on page 60, or 61. And it's only 145 pages. I know you're like, Chey, this book is not 145 pages, but remember, friends, I'm only reading the first of the 6 stories in here because the first story, The Hitchhiker's Guide, is the reason this was bought for me in the first place. Loophole? Maybe. Do I care? No. So I can probably finish that today. I'm so upset. So I've been reading The Man in High Castle for my 10 pages a day challenge, and for some reason, I thought this had who in the title, like the man who lived in the High Castle. And when I finished it, I was like, oh, this can count for my who prompt. No, I'm just made to suffer. And the book wasn't even that great. It's fine. I like the Amazon show better. I'll say it. Maybe I should have read the book before I watched the show, but I like the show better so far. Because not a lot happened that was resolved in that book. I shouldn't be reviewing this in this video, but it just irked me because a lot of it seemed kind of like the plot of that one Indiana Jones movie where it's like it would have been the same without him, you know? This book just feels like it leaves a lot unresolved, a lot unanswered, which I get is the point in some books, but it's just... I'm like, okay, I got an introspective into a few days in these people's lives, but I went into this book thinking there was going to be some kind of conclusion, some kind of resolution, which is probably my fault, so I don't totally blame the book for that, because I did have these preconceived notions after watching the show, but like, just a little bit disappointing. I think I rated it like a 3.5 out of 5, so fine. It's fine. That's for another video. We're not gonna get into that big cheesy bacon burger. That looks so good. Focus, Chey. I am 8 pages into For Whom the Bell Tolls, and this big boy is nearly 500. I guess I better get to reading. I know and update for something else that I started. I don't think it's gonna be in this video, but I started reading Dowry of Blood this morning on my iPad because it was available on Libby, and my edition has 190 pages, probably because of the size of my pages. I just started reading it this morning and I'm already on page 45. It's really good. It's flying by. I'm really enjoying it, so I'll probably talk about it in another video because I probably won't finish it in this one, but oh, if I can get the lamb who slaughtered the lion. I don't think I can, though. I'm gonna look on my Libby app for books with who in them. Who's Kitten Who? Excuse me? The Pirates Who's Who in Kingdom, Who was Jesus? If I read Who was Blackbeard, the kids book, does it technically count? I could read Doctor Who. For Whom the Bell Tolls, I would love to read it for this prompt, but if I'm being realistic with all the other things I want to do and how busy my life is about to get, do I think I'll be able to finish it by the end of December, or would I rather just take my time with it? There's a Lemony Snicket book. Who could that be at this hour? Before the Baudelaires became in 4 volumes that shouldn't be read, this is the first volume. And this is only 5 hours. I could listen to it and finish it by today. I think I'm gonna do that, and then we'll see if I can finish For Whom the Bell Tolls. I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna start Lemony Snicket's Who Could That Be at This Hour, and that's gonna count for my who prompt. For now. I am all over the place. 2 of 3 copies available at my library. Yeah. Borrow it then. It's mine.
Let me stick it to the voice. I turned to look at the girl who had spoken. What's the news, Moxie? You tell me, she said. You're the one who showed up at my door.
Okay, so the audiobook's done. It only took me an hour and 16 minutes. And I would rate that a 5 out of 5, dude. Just a really solid good time. Just a really solid Lemony Snicket good time. It's about him joining an organization that apparently no one knows about, and he comes to this town, and he's apprenticed to this woman who's apparently number 57 on the list of 58 apprentices, so she's not that, or tutors, teachers, so she's not that great. Chaperones, whatever. And there's this statue that's supposedly stolen, and they're hired to find out, to bring it back to the rightful owner. And shenanigans ensue. It's just a book full of whimsy. It's so funny and so easy on the mind, but also not patronizing. Like, it's not easy on the mind in an insulting way, like, you need to have your hand held throughout it. It's just a fun time. I would have loved this series as a kid, just like a series of unfortunate events, and I love it now. I am actually going to try and find this book in a physical copy, and I'm glad there's 3 more, because I hope the next 3 are really as good as this one. Just very fun. I love Lemony Snicket's writing. It's so... Maybe that's why I really like Vonnegut. Because just, it's like Vonnegut, but more whimsy. No offense, Vonnegut. Vonnegut is very reality, like, kind of cynical almost, and this is, like, more whimsical. At least overall, I think. There's a point where he goes into this room, and there's a statue, and he's like, there's a statue of a naked lady, or there's a statue of a lady without clothes and without arms. And he's like, I guess you're worse off than I am. It's just, it's funny. It's a good time. I really enjoyed it. You should check it out. It was... Who Could That Be at This Hour? Really good. Also, the audiobook reader, the narrator of this story, too, was perfect. It did an amazing job. 10 out of 10. He better be the narrator for the rest of the stories. 10 out of 10. Welcome back to another chaotic Chey wrap-up. I was originally going to wait. Wow, my hair looks real good, though. I was originally going to wait until my laptop was fully charged before I started filming this wrap-up, but let's be honest. I really just need to hurry up and do this, because I don't need to drag this on too long. You've been here long enough, right? We've all been through this long enough, so let's get it done. Oh, I stepped on a knife. Well, I forgot the books. Motherfucker! Where are all my other motherfucking books? Half the time I don't even actually say the curse word, because half the time you can't tell when I blur out my face and put in a noise, funny little sound effect anyway. Let me straighten you up, unlike me. Bad Omens is just gonna be up there chilling. Alright, cool. Had my headphones on because I was listening to music, but no, I'm not. So, here we are at the end of the readathon, and boy, what a ride it has been. I completed it. I completed every single prompt on the board. Originally, I was just planning to get a bingo or two and do as much as I possibly could, but with the main goal being just get at least one bingo, I ended up completing all 16 prompts. Here are some of the books that I completed during this challenge. This is part of the stack of books. It kind of feels like cheating to hold up the short stories of Ernest Hemingway, though, because I didn't read that entire thing. It was just a couple of selections out of there, but generally you get the idea. That's a lot. That's a lot. Even if you take out Ernest Hemingway, even if you take out him, even then there are books that are not in here because they're at home or they were audiobooks. So, just this in like a week? That's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. I'm proud of you, Chey. Completed all 16 prompts, so real quick, I have my laptop here. Let's go over some stats, and then let's just do a recap of everything, every prompt that I fulfilled and what fulfilled it. So, totaling all together, not counting the audiobooks, I listened to about 11 hours of audio. It was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and then Lemony Snicket's Who Could That Be at This Hour? So it was 11 hours of audiobooks, but actual physical pages that I read 2,163. Not bad. Not bad. I'm very happy with that. I don't even know why I'm saying that bad, because if you're reading, you're winning, as Allison Pages says, and that's so true. Alright, let's go over each individual prompt, and I'm going to put the picture here to take up the space of the Jesus window. You're welcome. I'm going to go over each individual prompt and just recap what I did to fulfill that prompt. I say that because now at the end of the challenge, I have set ideas about what fulfilled what, looking back in hindsight, but I realize when I go back and start editing this video, originally that might not be what the book counted for. The prompt, it might have counted for a different prompt, and now I'm counting it as something else, so Chey, fix that in post. Thanks, love you. Love you, I'll buy you an extra book when we get paid. I'm sorry. The first prompt, A Friend Hates But You Might Love, that was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Drink a holiday-themed beverage, I got the peppermint milkshake from Chick-fil-A that I got for free. gifted to you. That was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that my friend gave me in that beautiful leather-bound copy edition. Gives a sense of nostalgia. That was the cartoon flip-through book of Roadrunner that I read, that I am still planning on making an entire video about, because it's just crazy. With a grumpy character, I am counting Given Volume 2 for that, because our frontman, Yui, good old Yui, I feel like he's a grumpy Gus. He can be a grumpy Gus for sure. Has a mission, quest, scheme, or heist. I am counting the short story 50 Grand by Ernest Hemingway for that. Decorate or do something crafty. That was The Bath with Hats. Set in winter. That's the other short story by Ernest Hemingway called A Simple Inquiry, where it literally talks about how much snow there is outside, and it's snowing outside, and they're all snowed in this cabin. With a dog. I am counting Her Majesty's Dog, Volume 3 for that. You've been meaning to get to all year. Which one was that? Originally, I think I was gonna count this book for the prompt will make your heart grow 3 sizes, but I ended up counting... Ooh, sorry. Ugh. Oh. We're gonna try this again. Things are not going in my favor today. My phone ran out of storage, and now it just saved that prior video twice. There's 2 of me! Okay, anyway, what I was saying, you've been meaning to get to it all year. That, I ended up choosing I Was Born for this. I'm pretty daggum sure, even though it was originally supposed to count for Will Make Your Heart Grow 3 Sizes. That's what this book ended up counting for. Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. One of my new 5-star reads for this year. It's absolutely adorable. It's totally wholesome and just an amazing time. I freaking love this book, and I recommend it to everyone. Who in the title? That was Lemony Snicket's Who Could That Be at This Hour? From your wish list, that is Die Dark Volume 4. Where is it? Come here. Come here, you. Die Dark Volume 4. This is the one that counted from the From My Wish List prompt. Move your body. Jazzercise, perhaps. I did work out during this video, but I am counting the thing that you saw at the very, very beginning of this video, which is when I was audio engineering for our local Christmas parade and tree lighting ceremony, because I had to be a tech and production assistant and an A2 for 7 hours in the rain. Let me tell you something. All configurations of being. Electronics don't like the rain. Anyway, green on the cover. That was Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. It's green. My copy, my edition's green. I've seen people have that yellow copy. I think this is the UK edition. I think I bought this before that one website went under. God, what was that website? But I got this cover because I liked it a lot, and it counts for the green on the cover. And the free space, I am counting The Man in the High Castle. I originally wasn't sure if I was going to count this book for anything in this readathon. You even saw that in my clip. But I'm going to count it for my free space. Because for a long time, I thought that it said The Man Who Lived in High Castle, and so I thought it was going to be my who prompt, but I'm dumb. It was mid. I liked the TV show a lot better than I liked the actual book. And even then, that's not saying, like, a ton. It wasn't terrible, but also, like, maybe I should have read the book before I watched the show, because I definitely had higher expectations about the book because of the show. I thought it was an adaptation, which is not the book's fault. It felt like the filler episodes of an anime compared to what we could have gotten in this world. It all felt like it was leading somewhere and going to get somewhere, and it kind of did for a moment, but then it just leaves you with, oh, okay, so what now? And then there's nothing. And it's like, well... So for what it was, the world building was good. The way that women are talked about, I was like, I don't know if you're just accurately reflecting the viewpoints that would have been standard in this kind of society, in this kind of world, because I can't fault you really for just being accurate to what this kind of society, how it would actually look at women, and how the characters would probably be conditioned to actually look at women and other people and races. And I'm not familiar enough with any of his other works to know if that's just like a tone or theme, because it wasn't like totally degrading to women, like it wasn't like totally sexist or anything like that, but just some of the ways that women were talked about and viewed, it was like... But then on the other side of that, there's a lot of female empowerment in here and women agency and taking advantage of looking as like they're disadvantaged to the male population. It's hard to describe. I would love to read someone's papers on the gender politics of this book because I'm sure it would be very interesting, at least to me. But anyway, that's my review. It's fine. I think it was as short as it needed to be, but I feel like there should be another book. Is there another book and I'm just an idiot? Probably. But the way that this book ended off, I was just like, okay, well, what was that build up for? We went on this journey to get here and now there's just nothing? You're just gonna talk about it and be like, oh my god, all of our paranoias and all of our fears and what we were thinking about is confirmed by, like, the gods or whatever. And, okay, thanks for coming to the party. Go back to Denver. Like...
What?
Okay. So that's all the prompts. That's all this video. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around. If you did, why you did. I don't know, maybe you just like chaos, and I like you, because I like that too. If you like this vlog and you want to see the other reading vlogs I've made, reading challenges, just reading vlogs, book reviews, all that good stuff, it's all together in a playlist on my channel called Books. It'll be linked up above and so below, as always, and at the end of the video. If you haven't already, first of all, go check out Jan. If you don't know Jan, and you're just here because of me, please go check out Jan. I love Jan. Jan is an angel of a human being. She tolerates my emo self on her server, and just a queen. Love her, love Joey. I can't leave out Joey. They are the cutest couple I've ever seen in my life. I love them so much. But as for right now, that's gonna be it for me. I need to clean this hellhole of a room. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you ain't heard it from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace. Bye!